Yeah, I don't know what happened to that last slide, but shit, we just gonna have to rerun it back. All right. I'm Ceito, the spirit coach, getting you in shape and form for the age of Aquarius. And thank you for coming to my moon class today, where we're going to talk about what are full and new moons. Okay? What are full and new moons and what do they mean? So you can just have the basic aspect and a basic understanding of what a full and what do a new moon mean. All right? Did that sound fair? I think that sounds fair. We're going to break that down. So I think that sounds fair. And I'm going to actually roll up too, because we need to be in the space where we rolling up and shit like that. So shout out to Rasta. And shit like that, you know what I'm saying? So we going to build. Now, what they correlate to the moon and all ancient civilizations is, you might hear them call the mother moon, the mama moon, dark feminine moon. So the moon is always correlated to the feelings, the emotions, the feminine. You know what I'm saying? The intuition, what we can't see. You know what I'm saying? For real. It's our lightest shape and form. It's our lightest representation of ourselves. Our reaction, our response. So that's what the moon is correlated to. Our reaction, our response, our feelings, the moon, the mother. So they trying to get you to a space. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know why y'all be taking this and doing whatever the fuck with it, but it mean what it mean. But I understand that language, and that we got like language to describe one thing, and it kind of got us lost a little bit. But for the most part, we all coming back down, because real spirits down here. Y'all done brought Zeus down here, so you know what I'm saying, I gotta let y'all know what the fuck going on. Now, like I said, the moon in all ancient civilizations is correlated to the feminine principle. Okay, so what we're actually looking at when we see the moon in the sky is why they are even calling it, or putting in the aspect of feminine and shit like that. You think people just doing that because they don't got no common sense? And they just, what I'm saying, just calling some shit. No, that's what they taught you that was normal. So you got to use that logic to make yourself feel good about why you don't know something. So, but it's like I said, it's cool. For the most part, we all here now and shit like that. So we get the right knowledge and shit like that. Now the moon ain't no rock. So that's another thing y'all need to understand. The moon is a reflection. So we stay on water. Now, anytime you have something that reflects off of water and shit like that, you're going to get a reflection. And so that's what you call the moon. So what you looking at is basically based on where the sun and its position is at and where the moon is at. You know what I'm saying? Where we facing that as the moon and shit like that, that's going to let you know that that's where we're facing and shit like that, the moon, because it's only taking the shape and form of our body of water. So if it's taking the shape and form of our body of water, then that means we have to be facing something that isn't, what I'm saying, that's away. You know what I'm saying? We're getting that reflection and that starting point from the sun. Shout out to Awoken Minds. We're getting that starting point from knowing that the sun is reflecting that. So that's what the moon is. The moon is a reflection. So anytime you see a full moon, you know what I'm saying, this is when we can see the full reflection on the space we in. And we can understand that based on every time we have a sun, every time we have the full moon, you always gonna know that the sun is 180 degrees away from where the sun is at. And then every time you're gonna have a new moon, you're gonna know the sun is in the same space. I mean, the moon is in the same space the sun is at, position wise, based on rotation. So that means if it's 180 degrees, say the sun right here, in the moon right here and you right here. So what are you going to see? The full reflection. Now say the moon right here and the sun right here, and you're looking that way. You're not going to be able to see the moon because it's going to be facing the sun. It's going to be taking on the light, and that's why we call it new, because it's taking on the shape and form of the light. It's not looking away. So that's how we correlate to what space we're looking at as a position and shit like that based on what we're receiving. And that's why the moon is the receiver. That's why the moon is the feeling, because we're receiving information based on reflection and shit like that. So that's why it makes us that's why we only can pick up it as we're in the vibe of reflecting, or we're in the vibe of reacting or feeling in some way, shape, or form, because it just creates that influence and shit like that. So it's just something that we're calling that we already, kind of created. Now we all got this within us as well. You got your own feeling, you got your own sun, you know what I'm saying, your action, the way you see things, you know what I'm saying, how you express things, but you also got what you're receiving, not what you're what you can't see, you know what I'm saying? So, you can, the easiest way to detect this is that, say somebody come into a room that you're familiar with, right? But you don't want to let them know that you're familiar or you aware that they're there, but you're still paying attention to what you're paying attention to. You're paying attention to your body language, and the way and what you pay attention to. So you don't give them attention. So that would be like your sun. Your moon would be you picking up the awareness of that. How you feel about that, how you reacted to that. That would be your moon. So that's where we get in that science, from. Now, when we talk about the moon and shit like that, so now that's out the way. So I gotta break that down. So when we talking about the moon, the new moon is our body of water taking on the light. So it's facing the sun. So anytime we face the sun, this is when we're totally new, because we're not reacting and responding in a way where we can actually see what we're reacting see what we're reacting and respond to. You get what I'm saying? So that takes you into the allegory of not being able to see how you feel, and also with the full moon, being able to see how you feel when our body of water faces away from the sun. Okay, so there's both positives and negatives of not being able to see how you feel, and there's positives and negatives of being able to see how you feel. All right, so when you look into the sky and you can't see the moon, this is what they're calling a new moon. Now, there's a speculative energy of that, and this is an allegory of you being in a space where you may not see how you feel at time. And when you do look in the sky and you see the full moon, this is you being able to see how you feel. And when you are in that space, you develop certain virtues and principles and thoughts and feelings about how to go about that. So, with that being said, you know what I'm saying, we're going to get to the positives and negatives of these both. And also, let me mention this. We also see the many transitions of, being able to see how we feel. So anytime we're waxing and the moon is becoming full, you know what I'm saying, this is us starting to be able to see how we feel as a collective, or you know what I'm saying, but like I said, this is just happening on a macro scale. You know what I'm saying? You have your own position and relative to your feelings as well, but for the most part, these macro events is what we all experience micro, and we all play this out in our spaces relative to where we at as well. So when we talking about the positives and negatives, let's get into that. So let me check this title and see if I answered the question. So what do full and new moons mean? All right, yeah. So that's what we're about to get into. So what do full moons and new moons mean? So anytime you see a full moon, you know what I'm saying, you're able to see how you feel on a macro level. You know what I'm saying? And anytime you hear a new moon coming up, you know what I'm saying, that's what it means. You don't know how you feel. So that's what it means on an esoteric level. I mean, that's how occultists would look at it based on, us being within, a being, you know what I'm saying, and based on how we receive these energies. Okay, so let's get to it. So, yeah. So the positives and negatives. And hold on, let me roll up real quick, because we gonna roll up. We gonna kill this shit real quick, and we gonna let it go straight like that, so y'all can know. So y'all can use this shit for yourselves in your own lives, and y'all can go outside and see what I'm talking about. So it ain't like I'm just capping right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can go outside and see and shit like that. And we all going towards a new moon. You're not gonna be able to know how to react. There's gonna be a lot of new situations that's coming in. You probably starting to feel that energy right now, as far as your reactions. So it's gonna be a whole bunch of new shit, and the new moon is happening in Scorpio. So the way it's gonna happen is that you're not gonna be able to see how you feel, but it's gonna be, your feelings are going to be dealing within the aspect of Scorpio, where the moon is at. So it's going to be in your passions, motivations, your desires. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. And then, not to mention, the moon falls there. So that means you already know. So if the moon falling there, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be in some deep shit. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to see how you feel about what's deep. You know what I'm saying? You're going to not be able to see how you feel about what motivates you. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to see how. Now, like I said, when we get into this aspect, though, it's positives and negatives to that. And that's what we got to get into real quick and swift, and let this video be out. And by the way, y'all can also join CeitoWorld.com/membership and shit like that. We got that popping and shit like that. Make sure y'all getting tapped in. We got the best communication going on in the world about astrology, and the best network of individuals and shit like that. Best events and virtual classes and shit like that, and monthly calls and shit like that with the coach, so you can get your astrology right, so you can be put in the aspect where you actually manifesting, especially if it's for God purpose. All right. So yeah. So we're gonna get into the positives and negatives of not seeing how you feel, based on just the new moon coming up first. So, like I said, anytime you can't see the moon, this is you not being able to see anything. New moon. Anytime you can fully see the moon, this is, you know what I'm saying, you being able to fully see how you feel. Then you go through the transitions between those. You know what I'm saying? You go through the waxing phase, then you go through the waning phase. Half moon is like you halfway, your cup half empty and shit like that. So you're supposed to put energy in during the new moon, so you know what I'm saying, because you're becoming something new and shit like that. So you're taking on the shape of the light, because your feeling is in the same space that the light is in, or the light is taking up the shape of you. So that means whatever feeling and vibration you come in, you're gonna be fully exposed. So you need to fully go into that. Let's get into it. So the positives of not seeing how you feel, which will be like the new moon in the positive aspect. So the positives of not seeing how you feel is you will have faith. You know what I'm saying? When you don't see, say you're in this position that you don't see how you feel, but still you're still gonna have access to like faith energy, because that will be the positive aspect of it. You will have luck. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes if you don't see how you feel, but you know what I'm saying, you just doing shit, you'll fall into shit. Strength and shit like that. You don't know what's going on, but you're gonna have strength. Vision. You know what I'm saying? That's always a positive. You're gonna have a certain vision. Leadership. You may not know how you feel, but you're gonna lead and get there. Creativity is another one. Creativity is shit, just going with, you know what I'm saying, just going with the flow and just being creative and letting inspiration take place. You're gonna create newness. You know what I'm saying? This is a positive to not seeing how you feel. You're gonna feel it's birth. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you have something newness, something new can be inspired. Anytime you have a birth, you know what I'm saying, something new can be brought upon here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking emotionally wise, based on the new moon and the moon representing our emotions. So, and then you got the ability to feel free. So that's like less connection, less responsibility. You know what I'm saying, on your own. And then preserves celebration. I don't know why I wrote that one. But yeah. All right. So, but yeah, those are the positives so far. So the negatives of not seeing how you feel of the new moon. Let's say that. Now the negatives of not seeing how you feel would be lack of trust. Okay, so if you sometimes when you don't know how you feel, you may have a lack of trust. You know, you may make mistakes because you know what I'm saying, you don't know. You know what I'm saying, you have a certain ignorance, you're naive, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can be indecisive if you don't know how you feel. Sometimes you can feel irresponsible, you know, or paranoid, or feeling unconnected. You know what I'm saying? You can feel unconnected when you don't know how to feel. See how you feel. You can feel anxiety. You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to like indecisive energy. So those are the positives and negatives to a full moon and a new moon. Now you ain't hear this nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? I'm the only one coming with this type of swing on this right now. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to the subcom. You know what I'm saying? Cause subconscious community. You know, and shit like that, because we kicking this shit all the time. Now, now let's get to the full moons. Let's get to the full moons and shit like that. We got the negatives and positives of the full moons. Okay, so anytime we have a full moon, this is you being able to fully see how you feel. You know what I'm saying? All right, so the positives of being able to see how you feel would be, what's up, Starla? The positives of being able to see how you feel in a full way is being insured, aka you're sure of yourself. You feel sure, or you feel in touch. You know what I'm saying? You feel secure, or you feel empowered. You know what I'm saying? So anytime we got a full moon going on, you might feel those energies. Or you may feel motivated, or you may feel connected, or you may feel a sense of familiarity or comfortability. So that would be like the, what's good, y'all, what's good. So that would be like the positive of the full moon. The negatives of the full moons and shit like that would be you feeling like self-centered. So you feel like full of yourself, you could be out of touch. You know what I'm saying? Or you could be out of touch with other points of views, or not knowing how to be new. You know what I'm saying? You could be full of yourself. Or too smart for your own good type shit. You know what I'm saying? That would be the negative of having a full moon. So we always got a yin and yang to everything. So there's always positives and negatives to the full moon, and the positives and negatives to the new moon. I'll repeat them one more time. So the negatives of not seeing how you feel, aka the new moon. This will be you like having a lack of trust. You know what I'm saying? You can make mistakes because you don't know how you feel about things. You can be ignorant. You can be naive. You can be indecisive. You can be irresponsible. You can be paranoid. You know what I'm saying? Just not knowing how you feel about shit. You can feel unconnected. You could feel anxiety. The positives of not seeing how you feel, aka the new moon, would be, okay, you don't know how you feel, but you may have faith. You know what I'm saying? You may act on something that brings you luck or puts you in the right position. Or you may have a certain strength or a certain vision. You know what I'm saying? You may have, because you're going off, you know, just your actions or your faith. Or you're going off leadership. You're going off creativity. You know what I'm saying? You're not depending on how you feel. You know what I'm saying? You can be unconnected in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Where you're not connected to as much bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of dissolves, you know, anxiety. You can be in your own space. So that would be the positive of the, that would be the positive of the new moon, of not seeing how you feel. And then we get back to the full moon. The positives of seeing how you feel, you'll be sure, you know what I'm saying? You'll feel sure, you'll feel in touch, you'll feel secure, you'll feel empowered, motivated, fully connected, or you'll have a sense of familiarity. And the negatives of seeing how you feel is self-centered, out of touch with others' point of view, you know what I'm saying? Because you're so full of yourself, and not knowing how to be new, you know what I'm saying? So you may be fully connected to what you want to do or too smart for your own good. And those are the positives and the negatives of the full moon and the new moon. Now we have transitions between that as well and things of that nature, but I just kind of wanted to come here and break that down for you guys, in a sense, because so everybody can kind of get into the aspect, because we throw these, you know what I'm saying, we throw these words around and shit like that. It's a full moon, it's a new moon, and things of that nature. But we always got to have an occult understanding of like what we're using these words in terms for. And so anytime we have a new moon and shit like that, you know what I'm saying, this is when the moon is in the same space that the sun is at. So that, let's say the sun was over here in Scorpio, the moon is over here in Scorpio, right? So based on the moon being a reflection, if we're looking towards the sun and shit like that, you're not going to see the reflection. If I'm looking towards the light, the ring light right here, I'm not going to be able to see my reflection. If I start rotating and shit like that, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to be able to see reflection, especially if I was a transparent body of water. You know what I'm saying? And so if I'm a transparent body of water, you know what I'm saying, the only way that when I point to the sky and I see something rotating and shit like that, that's the only way I'm going to correlate that, hey, I'm doing a video. That's the only way I'm going to correlate that, okay, we're looking at something, you know what I'm saying, we're looking at something else, because we're not getting, the reflection that we're seeing, you know what I'm saying, it's in a different area. So based on it being in a different area, that means we must be facing the other way. And that's like the only conclusion you really gonna come to. Now, as far as NASA and what they do, as far as tell y'all it's a rock or something like that, now that has to be, you know what I'm saying, now I think it's just them kind of grouping together to, you know what I'm saying, give y'all a certain theology. Now, why they do that, that's on them. But, you know what I'm saying, but for the most part, you can go outside and see shit yourself. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta use your mind and shit like that. So when we get into, you know what I'm saying, the positives and negatives of the full moon, you know what I'm saying, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Those motherfucking meanings and reasons. Anytime you knew and shit like that, you know what I'm saying, this is an allegory of what we're catching. I mean, this would kind of what we experience is experiencing with what we call the new moon and shit like that. So this is you having a new space, and when you're in a new space, it can go good or it can go bad. It can lead into you being faithful, you know what I'm saying, new, faithful leadership, you know what I'm saying. But it also can lead you into being naive, you know, but always remember, you know what I'm saying, the light takes the shape and form of to even have a reflection. So what we're seeing in the sky is that we're receiving a reflection of it's like the sun represents what we're looking at, what we're on. So if we're on something that's reflecting back as a circle, that will only mean, what does a circle represent? A circle represents a circumference, a space, a parameter. So you a space, you got your own space. So if the light is facing you head on and you're looking into the light, you make that light up. You get what I'm saying? So it's like the light, because the light kind of takes the shape and form of the object. You get what I'm saying? So whatever type of, you know what I'm saying? Now that's some deep occult magic shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, whatever you take on that now, as far as getting into allegories with your mind and starting to create creatures and ways to go about things and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And shit like that, and projecting your own life and shit like that. But that's how you can have a certain idea about yourself, and that idea can be seen. Now, anytime you're looking away from that, you know what I'm saying, this is when you can see your full reflection and shit like that. Well, this is when we can see our full reflection. So the only allegory we gonna come to the conclusion of that is that shit. Whatever we're seeing in its full totality, based on it creating that sphere or that circle, you know what I'm saying? This is when we start to see the full aspect of what's being reflected from what we created, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like that. I'm trying to get y'all get there, but usually some of this shit you just gotta understand, and go look for yourself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, anytime you see a full moon, you can see how you feel and shit like that, and that's just really what that means. And so when you can see a reflection and the moon brought that energy here. You know what I'm saying? Reflection energy here. You know what I'm saying? Well, we brought that energy here based on us being teamwork make the dream work, but you know what I'm saying? That shit came here for you know what I'm saying? As a reminder of what we already do inside. So once we started to receive that influence of something taking a lighter shape and form of our body of water that we own, and it's taking form of a circle, this is when we start to give it a title, a reflection. It's a reflection. So anytime we reflect and things of that nature, this is like memory and shit like that. So anytime you can see a full reflection, you know what I'm saying, you feel fully connected, or you feel fully motivated. You know what I'm saying? You feel locked in. You feel like, you know what I'm saying? So that's the only conclusions we don't come to. And that's why when the moon is, and based on what we actually seeing and partaking in life, when the moon is full, how everybody be high energy, how everybody be full, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody play out like extreme unfulfillment based on, extreme unfulfillment based on being too fulfilled and shit like that. So they just play like into the opposite energy by default because they go overboard and shit like that. And this is like when the cup start to spill and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But so those the only allegories we're gonna come to. You know what I'm saying? So this is what the fucking full moon and what the fucking new moon mean and shit like that. So once y'all get into that aspect and shit like that, now y'all just, it don't be like phony. It don't be like when you hear a full moon is, I gotta go meditate and I gotta go get my crystals, I gotta go get my candles, I gotta get outside, I gotta, you know what I'm saying, I gotta do this, because now you understand how to see it and shit like that. So based on how to see it, you know what I'm saying, you can take this and add it to your life and allegories and shit like that. Now as far as the phases of the moon and shit like that, it play out the same way. You know what I'm saying? It play out the same way. Once you start seeing the moon wax a little bit, you know what I'm saying, you take on that shape and form, as above, so below too. You give a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You show a little bit of connection. You show a little bit of, you know what I'm saying? Now when the moon is new and shit like that, you know what I'm saying, you supposed to start doing that. And that's what a starting point is at. And shit like that, and all the way to keep connecting. And once it get full, you fully connected. You know what I'm saying? So you can connect it, with the phases though. So you gotta know the phases, and you gotta know the elements that you gotta connect in, because you might be like a certain element that may not mix right with an element that's going on. So for instance, we got this new moon in Scorpio coming up, and we got, you know what I'm saying, so Scorpio opposes Taurus. So you know what I'm saying, Taurus, y'all might have to value and get out y'all securities a little bit more. You know what I'm saying, try to be a little bit more emotionally connected, try to be a little bit more intuitive, you know what I'm saying, which y'all all kind of are anyway in your own shit, but you know what I'm saying, be a little bit more, don't be as dry as you are, as far as like show a little bit more motivation and shit like that. And then for Aquariuses, y'all might not have to, you know what I'm saying, y'all might have to chill, not be too thinky too much. You know what I'm saying? Get into the feelings, get into the waters a little bit much more. And then motherfucking Leos, y'all might have to do the same thing. Y'all might not have to be in y'all feelings of things, but get into the emotional side of things. You know what I'm saying? Feelings is fire, expression. Emotions is water. You know what I'm saying? What we can feel and what we can all connect upon. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, so we got motherfucking Moon and Scorpio and Taurus is y'all are earth sign. So y'all have feelings, but it's more so dealing with you know, being practical or making sense of things. And a Scorpio sometimes it drive y'all crazy because they don't care about they oppose that realm. You know what I'm saying? If you too much into making sense and shit like that, and that's how a Taurus will get cheated on by a Scorpio. If you too making sense of shit and shit like that, or if you too, oh, but this money makes sense. Oh, this bag makes sense. Oh yeah, alright. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You ain't met a Scorpio. You know? So yeah, that's it. But you know, that's the fucking knowledge and yeah. So I appreciate everyone that jumped in this motherfucking live, and now we know what the fuck full moons and new moons are. All right. Yeah. Get y'all ass to the air.